I see it differently. Reagan's speech was polemical. He was trying to win an argument. He wasn't trying to make me feel included at all. I don't remember a bunch of conservatives jumping up and down and saying Reagan did something terrible to hurt the country. You weren't born, so I'm not holding you accountable. But I seem to remember that speech being pretty well received by conservatives. And it's still well received. They still quote that speech, and God bless them for doing it. And God bless Reagan for being willing to stand with his ideals and to stand for office and be voted in or voted out. Yes. No, that's the great thing about a democracy, is that people actually get a chance to say what they think and get voted up and voted down. I haven't heard a lot of Republicans, and I appreciate your candor and your character, but I haven't heard a lot of Republicans talking about how offended they were with Romney's 47% comment.
Thank you.
And the things that were said that were so divisive by him. So this sudden obsession now with unity, when it wasn't there for Reagan, it wasn't there even for Romney. Here's a good thing about me. I'm a historian. I'm a lay historian, which means I can go way, way back in history. I go all the way back to 2012. Which is tough for America. But I can pull this off. So what has happened? I mean, I honestly say, again, we should talk later, and I want to get your name, and I can't tell you how much I admire you. But here's what I see. I see hypocrisy. I see a double standard. And I see projection. Any psychology majors in here?
Right here.
I see projection. I see people, projection is when you actually feel something and you project it onto the other person. I'm not saying this about you personally at all, please. But when I'm watching the Fuzzy Mammal Show, I see them saying about this president who I know, and know is not what they're saying, and doesn't have the intention. And you can, if you look, you can find much more evidence that he wants to include everybody than he wants to exclude anyone. But yet there's this projection, and I think somebody with a degree in psychology, and I don't have one, as many psychologists as I've seen, I probably should have one, but my view is I think that there are some people in this country who feel, well, when the whites were on top, they were brutalizing the blacks, and now the blacks are going to get on top and they're going to brutalize us. And there's a fear that's going to happen. And they look for any evidence they can to find that fear, and they obsess about it. And they overlook tons of evidence that's not what's happening at all. It's actually an extraordinary achievement in this country that you have all these different groups, most of whom have been treated fairly badly at some point in their history, who basically don't want to do well on that and they're trying to get along. And there's probably no better example of that than the Obamas. If you actually look at what Obama did in the past 4 years, he didn't pass it. He didn't say, well, now we need affirmative action. He never said the word affirmative action. Now, affirmative action was Nixon's program. He's to the right of Nixon on racial policy. He didn't say we need reparations. He's not said anything. He hasn't even said we need jobs in the inner cities. He hasn't even called for a commission on race. Bill Clinton had a commission on race that met too many times. I was like, can we move on? I mean, God, please, I don't know more. Bill, we understand and care about Negroes. Can we talk about something else? Okay? He hasn't done any of those things. The one time he said something about black people, he said something about black people twice in the entire presidency. Once was when Skip Gates, a professor at Harvard, got arrested in his own house for being black. And Obama said, well, that strikes me as foolish. And he then had to backtrack and have a beer summit with the cop just to calm people down. Then, when Trayvon Martin got shot, and everybody was very concerned, he said, well, geez, if I had a son, he was like Trayvon. Those are the 2 times he's even addressed race. Other than that, he's basically been trying to pass Republican policies and have Republicans on socialists. That's basically what he's done. Now look, I see you over there recording me, but I'm glad you're doing it. You shook your head when I said you try to pass Republican policies. Here's the thing about that. That's what he's been trying to do. Let me just be clear. Obamacare is Romney care. That's Republican. Cap and trade is from the Heritage Foundation. Okay? He's trying to pass Republican. He tried to pass a tax cut for small businesses. And got called a socialist. So, what I'm trying to say is simply this. And we can move on, and you and I should talk for longer, and I'll give you the last word. But what I'm trying to say is this. There's as much or more evidence that this president does want to include him. There's as much or more evidence that he has reached out to Republicans time and again. There's as much or more evidence that his, if you're a white person on Wall Street, you might like this president quite a lot if you look at what he's done. And I just have to ask the question, why is all that invisible to a big part of America? Why is that invisible? And again, I'll give you the last word. But I'm not going to live my life trying to appease the unappeasable. I spent 25 years fighting for every kind of screwed over American, white, black, purple, or otherwise. My wife is white, if that matters to anybody. My family looks like the United Nations. I will put out crazy, silly tweets like everybody else. And I will jump on Republicans and Democrats like anybody else in American life. And I will look with amusement as people come to record my comments and post them up on right-wing websites and often slice them up and do all kind of crazy things with them. And worry not about people like me, flaws and all, but worry about what it means that, again, you're not going to find that many African Americans who've been on the side of the immigrant rights fight for 20 years, the lesbian gay fight for 20 years, labor fights for 20 years, every single fight in the country, which includes every color in the country for 20 years. You're just not going to find that many people who just have too much self-love and want to be at their own homes. I'm going to continue having fun in my public life. If people want to take a tweet out of context, I'm not going to change about that. But I want to assure you I know this president. And he would love you to death. And he would be so happy that you care enough to stand here in front of everybody and listen to me run my mouth and to raise your question and do it the way that you could. And not only does he want to include you in what he's doing, he wants you to include him in his heart. I hope you will.
Okay, and I just want to say thank you for this conversation, and that it goes the same way. I think there are a lot of people on what would be considered the right side of the aisle and not like the conservative side of the aisle that have the exact same goals, and those are often overlooked in the media as well. And so I think it's more important to have conversations like this rather than just looking at what the talking points are, what the news article is, what's going to get the biggest headline drop. And so I really thank you for your conversation.
Thank you very much.